Okay, Georgia wraps up the SEC East for the fifth time in 6 years, Matt. 45-19, we believe was the score. Georgia did not play great tonight, but they played pretty well against Tennessee. I've seen them play better. They won by 26.
Yeah, they still beat Mississippi State by more than the experts thought, and they did shoot themselves in the foot multiple times. 2 bad interceptions by Stetson. He made a lot of really good throws, I thought, and he accounted for 1 touchdown on the ground. Did he end up with 3 passing touchdowns?
Yeah, he had 3 passing touchdowns because the lad won. The first lad touchdown counted as a rush.
Right, so I thought he played pretty well at times, but the 2 interceptions were bad. The punt return they gave up with 3 seconds left in the half was just not what you want to do. Bad special teams, I thought, kind of all the way around today, but the defense was lights out. They were put in a bad spot by the offense a couple of times, but overall, I thought they played really well. Tackled in space a lot. Jalen Carter could not be blocked. Malachi Starks, Small Munden, all those guys I thought played really, really well. Did not run the ball consistently. That's my only kind of takeaway of the offense. They got to start running. I say start. They've been running on pretty much everyone. Had a little trouble against Missouri and had a little bit of trouble today, but again, they put up 45 points. Solid road win.
They almost wound up with, I think it was 170 yards rushing. Yeah. It was a fair amount.
The lad one counted for 70.
Well, that counts.
Yeah, that counted.
And so does the Kendall Milton one at the end with 5 minutes to go or whatever it was, or 2 or 3. But Ryan, I mean, your kind of view of the world, I mean, there was no time at which anyone in this car thought Georgia would lose this game.
No, and the worst moment was that punt return at the end of the first half. But look, man, not even close to their best game, and they're winning by 26 points on the road, freezing cold. I mean, you could tell that was affecting Stetson, whether he said it or not. You could tell it was affecting his ball placement.
It affected me.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I'm taking gloves off in a while. But if that's not even close to their best game and they're just destroying people, it didn't feel like they destroyed them, right? Because it felt like
but it didn't feel like State could do anything.
But they couldn't do it.
I said, I was just gonna say. I said to Mark Weiser came over and talked to just for a moment after the game, the reporter of the Athens Banner-Herald, and said, asked me what I thought. He asked me if I thought they played well, and I said I did not necessarily thought they played well, but that State couldn't drive the ball and score a touchdown. They could drive the ball a little bit, but they're kicking field goals. I mean, I think they scored 1 offensive touchdown. Is that correct?
I think it was after Stetson's second interception where they got the ball on like the 20.
That was a great play by the defensive lineman, but Stetson was trying to. That was just a weird play.
Yeah. Real quick, Ryan, I thought Mississippi State played hard. I thought they gave Georgia their best shot.
They did.
Playing at home in front of their crowd against the number 1 team. They came out and played really, really hard, and I thought they defended pretty well. I thought they tackled well, and they still gave up 45 points. It just shows you how talented and deep Georgia is, where at times where it doesn't look pretty and you look up and win the game by 26 points. They cover, if that matters, to,
by 10
up there. Yeah. A sound, comfortable win. Didn't always look like it, but again, that you can't ask for a whole lot more on the road in that type of environment. You're not going to beat down every team on the road like you did against South Carolina. So Kirby was comfortable. He was happy with the win.
I mean, aside from that punt return, they did basically the same thing to State that they did to Carolina. I mean,
they ran it on Carolina.
Carolina scored a touchdown. State kicked a few field goals, I guess. I don't know. But I think, Ryan, there are some things to clean up. Kirby was pretty happy after the game.
He's been happy for a while. I mean, I think you're right. He knows that they're good.
He does.
I think he's got a lot of self-awareness about the position that they're in and the opportunity that they have. I mean, he talked about Jalen Carter a little bit. Dude, Jalen Carter changes this defense. I mean, he's sick. This is a guy that's going to be one of the first 5 or 6 picks in the draft in like 6 months. And I mean, the amount of attention Jordan Davis got last year was unreal for someone that didn't have gaudy numbers or anything like that. He was just kind of more of this legend for Georgia, and he was a phenomenal player. And he's doing well in the NFL. And he was a cultural. He had a big. So Jalen Carter is not that. He's quiet. You know, he's not in the Athens scene as much. He's more talented, and he, you know, his ability to just get off a block, because he can get. I mean, he
He's
can
a
end
bully.
up he can
He's
end
a
up being
bully.
the sack leader at the end of the year with missing a few games. He is. He's someone you don't want to play against. Bob McConkey's really come on the last couple of weeks. He's
He
big,
had a
especially
big-
in the absence of A.D.
big
Mitchell.
day.
He had a big day. He has had 2 big days in a row. So this is 2 weeks in a row where he played really
Kyrus.
well. Kyrus Jackson, 2 really clutch plays from him. Darnell Washington is maybe the backbone of this team.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Darnell, they're going to really miss Darnell after this season. The clutch blocks, he finally had a touchdown, man. That's his first touchdown.
He should have had 2. Stetson missed him on that
yeah.
one
Well,
ball.
he went through his hands though. He could have grabbed.
You think so?
He hit both of his
So
hands.
because on the field it was like, you could have just
It
lofted
was one of
that
those things
up.
where you hit both your hands. You should have caught
I
it.
thought it was a bad throw. I mean, he's such a big target.
God, y'all have
It's
no
tough
idea.
to miss him.
I mean, you should be on the field for some of these things. This guy is massive.
He was massive in high school.
and not
man. He
just
was
like sort of like
big, but he's long and tall
and
and
all of
big.
that, and
I
can
mean,
just like
yeah.
he sort of stopped on that one catch on the state sideline. It was like he kind of faked that he was going to jump over the dude. You know
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
thought he
talking
was going to
about?
hurdle him.
And he was like, "Nah, I'm good."
The one thing I'll say is short yardage situations, they just weren't getting those 1 and 2 yard rushing.
So Kirby
yards there.
discussed the state defensive line and said they're really good.
Yep.
And I think he would know. Mike Leach after the game.
Yeah, he rambled. Go check it out. Said a lot of really interesting things. Make sure you go check out the video over there. But he was coughing the whole time. I think he was really sick. I don't know if the
That
weather
guy
got to
is
him.
the strangest person.
he is a
That's an
strange
understatement
dude.
of the world. But
Yeah, but he said, you know, Georgia's got 5 stars everywhere. He thought that they played better against Georgia than they did against Alabama. Talked a lot about Mississippi State, not a ton about Georgia, but go check it out. He did say some interesting things there.
hey, make
So
sure.
that's becoming a common. That's becoming a common phrase that we hear from these other coaches. Georgia's got 5 stars everywhere. Shane Beamer said that multiple times. I mean, the depth. It goes beyond just the depth of talent they have.
Yeah.
But they're just better than everybody. This is what it comes down to.
But like the to some degree, the nucleus of the team are non-5-star guys. I mean, when you think about,
Lad,
I was just gonna say,
Stetson.
Glad, Stetson, you know, Cedric Van Pran,
Chris Smith,
Javon
Bullard.
definitely Chris Smith. You know,
Bowers was a
they
four-star.
have a lot of uber gifted guys for sure, but they have. I mean, Kyrus Jackson was not a 5-star player, but all you needed to do when you were watching him at Peach was watch him run down the sideline. You're like, I'll take that.
Warren McClendon, multi-year starter, middle of the road 4-star
I
guy.
think when I saw Warren in the spring of whatever that was, they were playing Ware County. Brunswick was
Yeah.
playing Ware, and it was hard for me to tell that he was going to be a multi-year starter at Georgia. Some of this is that they have been developed. I mean, Xavier Truss started tonight or did not? Yeah, so Xavier Truss is a really good player for them. Xavier Truss was not a 5-star guy, and you can't have a team of 5-star guys. It's mathematically impossible, I think. So
You want to get him as much as possible.
yes, but Georgia's gifted, and they have really good players, no doubt. But this coaching staff,
develops.
they definitely develop people. Javon Bullard is someone that no one talked about at all. I mean, Dumas Johnson, I think we thought was pretty good, but I mean, and Smile Munden was definitely somebody we thought was good. But
There's a reason Kirby said this is the best staff I have. Mike Bobo is on this staff. Will Muschamp's on this staff. Guys that love Georgia. Brian McClendon
Former
is on
head
this staff.
coaches.
Yeah, and Georgia guys. Todd Hartley's a Georgia guy. They love this program. They love this university, and they've put together one hell of a team. And they can all bounce ideas off of each other. Glenn Schumann is probably one. You can make the argument he's the best defensive coordinator in college football. He's also one of the best recruiters and developers in college football. He gets to bounce ideas off of Will Muschamp, who gets to bounce ideas off Kirby Smart, and so on and so on. So,
well, why do you think? So one part of Kirby's discussion, which I always have to highlight because I, you know, having played in college, practice is really important, and he points that out a lot, which I think is also important. How, when you think about their practices and how they're getting ready for the practices, I wonder how much ego is involved. You know, Clinch Schumann's in there with Will Muschamp, who is certainly a big deal and has been a big deal in times. I mean, Will's Texas team played for the national championship in 2009. You got Kirby Smart, who's played for multiple national championships as a defensive coordinator as well. What's that like? And then you've got, you know,
Mike and Todd Monken.
I was just going to say Mike and Todd Monken. Those guys know how to score points.
Buster Faulkner, it definitely has his input.
Clearly.
Listen to the guys.
Clearly. And so I wonder what it's like. And like Kirby was talking about tonight, how to play the Gators, then Tennessee, then State, these are not at all the same types of offenses. And the defense is having to deal with different nomenclature. They're having to deal with different styles. And one thing he talked about, which gave me a flashback, not a good one, was talking about the language that the freshmen are having to learn as they go. I said this not that long ago to somebody.
Am I turning?
I think you're straight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could not remember the plays as a freshman. I had a hard time remembering that. And that's basketball. And in basketball, you have a lot fewer plays. In football, I've seen it put together. It can be overwhelming how much data there is that you have to recall. And he was saying that tonight, the calls that you had against the Vols, you're not even using them at all against State, because State has totally different situation, Ryan. So I think that's really important. I'll throw it to Ryan right now to say, I thought the fans for the Dogs, there were a lot of them there tonight too.
Yeah, it was impressive. I mean, the Dogs have been traveling for a while now. And they took over them. I mean, there were more Georgia fans on that side than there were Mississippi State fans, I thought.
Well, that's
it. It was.
Right?
Oh, they were a lot.
I mean,
don't know if it was
lot.
more. I don't know.
There was a
They
clear
were
red out there.
noticeable.
Yeah.
There's a lot of red and black over there.
Yeah.
They made their presence known, and you know that matters a lot, especially in a smaller stadium like this that's got a weird thing with the cowbells and everything.
What did you make of the cowbells?
Loud.
Yeah, they are
Didn't get
loud.
an opportunity to take one. I was gonna ring one here for you guys. That was my plan. But people are really attached to those things.
Yeah.
But the coaching staff, though, I mean, the staff is unreal. And Kirby talked about that fourth down stop in the red zone where Kamar Lasser popped the dude.
That was a great
tackle.
That call apparently was a huge disguise and not something you would typically call in that situation. He gave props to Schumann for that. And then going off in the corners, I thought Kamar Lasser and Kelee Ringo were excellent.
I was just going to ask,
blocking down those dudes. I mean, they're just no separation. I mean, I thought they played really, really well.
So
it's not something that you really see on TV that much.
let me ask you this, because we got that event with Kelee coming up. You can find out more about it down below. We're running out of tickets, frankly. So get it now. We're within a week of this happening. Like, this is going to be a stupid question, but did the guy that Kelee was covering, did that guy catch a ball on him?
Not.
I don't recall.
Not that I can remember
I'm
specifically.
asking. I don't recall.
No.
The problem for receivers against these DBs in particular is, like, obviously, so Keelee's length is pretty significant. I mean, I would say it's not insignificant, and so that he can run like that.
He's a big cornerback.
He is a big corner.
He's thick too.
And people want to complain about him, and it's not because we've got this event with him, but like Lassiter and Kelee are gonna get beat at times. They're gonna have pass interference.
Well, they're physical, and when you're on a guy's back, just covering him really well, you're gonna get there early a couple times, and you're gonna be aggressive, and those calls are gonna be made. But for the most part, no one beat them. No one got behind them.
I don't recall that.
Really physical cornerback too.
I mean, he's a big dude.
Kamar Lassiter is not a big dude, and he plays way bigger than he is. He's out to pop you. I think it's a really physical. It's more of a physical quarterback duo than a speed and ball skills.
But the safeties can pop you too. They're all playing physical.
Definitely can. Christopher Smith played really pretty well. Christopher Smith is they are. Christopher Smith. There's guys on this team that like obviously Stetson, but you got guys like Christopher Smith, Stetson. Zion Logue I'll throw in there. Kieris for sure. Kieris more than Zion because these guys have been around the block. They're not spectacular. Like they're not going to be first round draft picks, and like
they do their job.
But they do, which that's the problem with playing Georgia. Is that just because you get a lead, or just because this, or just because that, you're hanging in there. You got to do it the whole time.
You're not going to confuse these guys either.
No.
You're going to have to make the plays because they're going to be in a position to do their job.
And you're going to have to make the plays again.
Yep. We saw Jalen Walker, number 11 at linebacker out there on like the first series.
Dude, they roll people in there. Zero was in there, Ryan Davis. I mean,
he's the guy that really had to fight for his turn, getting injured all 4 years.
They got a million guys, man. And like...
Smile played like a 5-star.
That guy...
He can
is legit. Yeah, he can really run.
He's gonna be a first round pick here in a year or two.
That's a big dude who can run. He was really good.
They can definitely lose. When you play the way that they played tonight, you're giving opportunities. Every time you turn the ball over, you're essentially, for Georgia, forfeiting about an opportunity to score about 4.5 points, okay? That you give the ball to the other team in the red zone is really not ideal. But we've seen against Florida, Missouri, and now against State, although it was only two, but it was -2 turnovers. That helps the other team, and it obviously, and then you get the cheap touchdown on the punt return. That could have been 21 points. It turned out to be, I think, 10 or 14. It wasn't a ton. So they survived it, but that's the sort of stuff you got to clean up. And in Ohio State, or I guess LSU, I don't know. Tonight was not a great. I mean, tonight kind of goofed up everything. Got Oregon losing. TCU continues to advance. Tennessee with a good win. Clemson now. I mean, I am skeptical that Clemson will get into the playoff, but if they do, they do.
North Carolina
with a 21-point loss. I don't know. I mean, if they beat Clemson.
One loss ACC champ.
I mean, one loss ACC champion has won the national championship in our lifetime. So that's not out of the question. But I don't know, Ryan, your thoughts on the day from what you recall. We watched Ole Miss and Alabama quite a bit. We also watched a lot of Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's offense, I mean, they're going to put up points. I thought that Missouri played better than I thought they were going to against them. They didn't really have that much trouble moving the ball against Tennessee, which is not a good. If Tennessee does slip into the playoff, I mean that's going to be a problem. I mean defense in those types of games matters so much, and I don't know if they've got the defense to be a championship team, but Ohio State does the same thing as them, and they've got a better defense than Tennessee. In the snow, man, they really racked up the points against Indiana, but they should. They did their job. They were 40-point favorites. LSU,
40?
They were 40-point favorites.
Yeah, LSU had to survive.
LSU looked bad.
Did it?
That's not a great Arkansas team that was on their third-string quarterback for part of that game. I know it was icy and everything, but, man, you only won by 3. I just have a really hard time seeing them be competitive with Georgia and Atlanta here in a few weeks.
Those are two different things. I agree with you on the second point. I'm not shocked that LSU had a hard time. Georgia won by 26, but there were times when you could have confused this with a 10-point win, rather than a 26.
It felt like a 10-point win. I mean,
but the problem is you can't.
Once 4 quarters.
Once the points go on the scoreboard, you can't take them off. It's not like golf, right, where you take strokes away. This is a really good team. They are probably. I mean, they are the favorite to win the national championship. I do not see Kentucky getting in the way. Georgia Tech is a joke.
Georgia's in the playoff after tonight. You can write them in because they're not losing to Kentucky or Tech.
Right.
Yeah, that's you still have to accomplish that.
I'm not sure.
You gotta
I'm
beat
not
Kentucky, and then they're definitely.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're beating LSU, but LSU.
Broderick Jones
Yeah,
against
I'm
Harold
sure they're
Perkins, I
getting
think
us.
it's going to be a big time battle. You block that guy, and
They've
you
got
can score a lot of
players.
points. Yeah.
LSU and Ojolari.
Dog post guy.
They've got guys. When you say dog post guy, that's just code for Matt DeBerry guy.
He likes us.
He doesn't know me. I mean, like Aziz, at least we had a photo shoot.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to project him onto us. We're in Alabama now. We've escaped Mississippi. Comments on Mississippi State?
They just couldn't finish.
No.
The school.
State.
Oh,
Yes,
the
Mississippi
school.
State.
I felt like I was walking around UNG Dahlonega. Take it as a roast if you want to take that as a roast, but that's the entrance.
Pretty harsh.
The whole thing. But I don't have a problem with it. The stadium was all right. The Cowboys are rather annoying. I couldn't do that. I did for the first half have my AirPods in, and I was just listening to music.
I get it.
It just got uncomfortable underneath the beanie, freezing.
I like the 2 jumbotrons that they had. Those are really big.
Really nice. Really
thought-
nice. I don't think there's anything wrong with the stadium.
The food was fine. I
Yeah.
thought it was easy access from up to the press box and down. Easy workplace. We got out of the stadium. I don't have anything bad to say about.
It's
Not
an
the worst
old. You
place.
can tell it's the oldest stadium in America.
Yeah.
The press box is very old. There are parts of the stadium actually are very easy to get around. I have
Yeah.
to tell you, it's a very easy place to get around. It's just old. Like Tech is old, and it's hard to move around Tech. We'll go to Commonwealth next weekend. Kentucky's dumped a ton of money into
That's a nice press box.
and they have done a really good job at Commonwealth. I don't know what the actual term of the stadium is. It's going to always be Commonwealth to me. But look, Georgia's barreling towards a date with destiny if they want it. Stetson's got to play a little bit better. The run game's got to be better. But man, damn, I mean, it's hard to criticize a 26-point win.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say about it.
I think we all had Georgia to cover, so it's not like this was surprising to any of us. Even the slow start, we
think I
talked
had them to
about it.
cover,
It wouldn't be a
Well, it
surprise.
wasn't a slow start.
The first quarter, they really did put it on us. The second quarter, where Mississippi State started to get a little going through
I
the
think
air.
the challenge
and,
in sports, though, is to try to play your best every single moment.
Yeah.
And it's hard to pull that off all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know how Will Rogers played. They did not run the ball at all on Georgia.
Right. He made some nice throws. They made it tough for him. They got pressure on him early, and then it seemed like they moved, kind of game plan to where they gave him a little bit more time. Then he started making passes down the
There was a
field.
moment in time where State was okay, but there were a lot of 3 and outs. There were a lot of, there were a couple of 4th and turnover or whatever it's called.
When Georgia marched down the field on that first drive, I said, "Oh man, I mean they've got it clicking."
They were ready to play,
Then it was
and they were ready to play coming out of the half.
Then it was a punt, an interception, then they got a touchdown after
Right.
that. So
I think to me, Georgia playing any team, if they get 14 possessions, that's a little high for them. They're going to score their points because they're just too hard to keep off the scoreboard. That's the problem with dealing with Georgia. We've got the Kelee Ringo event for sure. Please check that out. If you've made it this far in the video and you're in North Atlanta, Jeff Foxworthy will be signing the book at the Barnes & Noble at Perimeter Mall, 2 to 4 on Sunday. We're signing off. Thanks for watching.